You shall speak your words in foreign lands, and all will understand.
The Samaritan woman said to him, "How can you, a Jew, ask me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink?" Words taken from today's gospel passage. Why did the Samaritan woman ask Jesus this question? Remember, David was king of Israel. And after David, his son Solomon became king. And after Solomon, Solomon's son Rehoboam became king. But because at a point Solomon became unfaithful to God, and so God decided to tear the kingdom into two parts. One part became the tribe of Judah alone in the south, and the other part became 10 tribes of Israel in the north. The son of Solomon, Rehoboam, became king over only the south, where you have the tribe of Judah, those called the Jews. And a servant, one of the servants of Solomon, Jeroboam, became the king of the northern kingdom, where you have the 10 tribes. And the northern kingdom, where we have the 10 tribes, are those now known as the Samaritans. In the year 721 BC, the Assyrian Empire came and conquered the northern tribes, where we have the Samaritans. And they took away many of the Israelites. They took them on exile. They took them out of the northern kingdom. And they brought in new people and resettled them in the lands of the northern kingdom. And the foreigners they brought into the northern kingdom began to intermarry with the Israelites or the Samaritans that were left behind at home. And while they intermarried, they also became influenced by the gods, the foreign gods they brought from their own lands. The Jews began to look down on those of the northern tribes, on the Samaritans, because they felt that since they started mingling with foreigners and foreign gods, they were no longer pure Israelites. The Samaritans continued to worship the God of Israel, but in a different way and in a different place. In the south, the southern tribe, the tribe of Judah, the Jews worshipped in the temple in Jerusalem, while the Samaritans worshipped in the temple that was built on Mount Gerizim. And so there was this tension between the south and the north, the Jews and the Samaritans. It was amidst this tension that Jesus asked this Samaritan woman to give him water to drink. Apart from the tension that was already going on between the Samaritans and the Jews, it was against the custom for a man to have a conversation with a woman one-on-one, especially when they are alone, except the woman is a member of his family. So in what is happening in today's gospel passage, we see Jesus breaking two barriers here. One, the barrier that was between the Jews and the Samaritans, Jesus was breaking it down. Two, the barrier that was between men and women, Jesus was breaking it down. In the first reading, taken from the book of Exodus, the Israelites were dying of thirst in the desert. And Moses struck the rock and he gave them water to drink. But this water did not quench their thirst. They became thirsty again. In the gospel passage, we encounter Jesus, who has come to give us water that will quench our thirst forever. Like the Israelites, the Samaritan woman became physically thirsty, and so she went to the well to get water to drink, and there she met Jesus. The gospel passage does not tell us her name, but the Orthodox tradition calls this woman Saint Fotini, which means the enlightened one or the illumined one. Apart from the physical thirst that drove her to the well to get water, this Samaritan woman was also experiencing a more severe craving, a more severe thirst, a more severe longing that drove her from one man to another man. But she did not find satisfaction. At the time that she was meeting Jesus, she was already with her sixth husband. She was already with the sixth man. Yet, she said, I have no husband. And that is to confirm the fact that none of the men could satisfy her thirsts, her craving. For the gospel passage tells us that she had had 5 men, 5 husbands, and so she was already living with the sixth man. And she was meeting Jesus as the 7th man in her life. In the Bible, numbers have special meanings. For example, the number 6 stands for imperfection. The number 6 stands for lack. It reminds us of something that is not complete. While the number 7 reminds us of perfection, reminds us of completion. Like God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th day. So 7 stands for perfection. And what does that have to do with today's gospel passage? The woman was with the 6th man, and the 6th man there represents imperfection, a lack, a longing, still not complete. When finally she met the 7th man, Jesus, that became perfection. That brought satisfaction. That brought completion for her. After kissing 6 toads, she finally met the prince in the 7th man. And so, the same woman who could not have the confidence to come to the well when other women were coming to the well, because she had met the fulfillment of her desire, the 7th man, perfection, she became so courageous that she even forgot about the bucket she brought, and she ran into the city to invite everybody to come and experience what she was experiencing. Like the Israelites, like the Samaritan woman, we also experience thirst in our lives. We have cravings, we have longings, and we go after different things that we think will satisfy us. But all these things we go about searching for satisfaction in are like the 6 men that the Samaritan woman has encountered. We will only find our satisfaction when we meet Jesus, the perfection, the 7th man. We have different cravings, we have different challenges. For example, presently, all over the world, we are facing the challenge with coronavirus. And so for us as Christians, how are we to respond to this new challenge? Certainly, not by denial. As people of faith, we are not to face this challenge by denying that there is nothing wrong, there's nothing going wrong. We should come to terms with the fact that truly something is going wrong. It calls for a time of self-reflection. It calls for a time of silence to reflect on what is going on. We are also challenged at this time to step up our game in terms of hygiene, to sanitize our hands, general cleanliness. It calls for caution. It calls for carefulness. But at the same time, as people of faith, one way we must not respond to what is going on is not to respond from the place of fear, not to respond from the place of panic. Fear beclouds right judgment. Fear sometimes can push us to react in a way that can be very irrational and illogical. Like I shared with you before, conditions do not change people. Conditions only reveal who people are. Let us not allow the present challenge to change us or to reveal something bad about us. Rather, let the challenges we are facing now show how good we are. Show that we are Christians. Let the challenges we are facing now reveal something about us, reveals the kind of generosity that we have as Christians. This is a time to be more generous than ever. For example, when we go shopping for something as simple as toilet tissues, let us be generous enough not to grab everything we see, even if we have the money. Let us leave some behind for others who are coming after us. In case we are blessed to have a very strong immune system, let us be generous to those who are vulnerable by being more cautious, by being more careful, by following recent instructions, maybe not for our sake, but for the sake of those who are not as strong as we are in terms of immunity. Even in our faith, we are called to be generous. Remember that faith is a supernatural gift that comes from God. And we all do not have the same level of faith. Some people's faiths are stronger than others. In case you are so strong in your faith, for example, you believe so much in the real presence of Jesus in the Holy Eucharist, and that belief makes you to believe that you cannot get virus, that no virus can be transmitted to you through the reception of the Holy Communion. I congratulate you for your strong faith. But remember that not everybody has the kind of strong faith that you have. So we are all called to be generous with those who are not as strong as we are in faith. But there are some persons who are still scared. For though there is that brother, there is that sister that may come after you have received Holy Communion on your tongue, that may be scared that something may be transmitted to him or her. You can be generous as a Christian to bring out your hand for the sake of that brother behind you who is not as strong as you are in faith. Remember the story of St. Paul. St. Paul said, "Eating meat sacrificed to idols cannot cause me any harm. I can go on to eat. It will do me nothing wrong. However, for the sake of those who do not have strong faith, I would not like to scandalize them, and so I am not going to eat meat sacrificed to idols." So let us be mindful of those who are not as strong in faith as we are. Presently, in many places, public worship has been suspended. Rather than panicking, let us also see this as an opportunity that God has given to us to renovate the domestic church. That is the church in our homes, in our families. Even if we can't gather for Mass, maybe this is an opportunity to now reflect. How can we improve family prayer lives? To gather together as a family, to pray the rosary, to read the Bible, and to even understand one another better, to listen to one another better than it has ever been. One lesson that I'm learning from the challenges we are facing now is the same lesson that I'm learning from Jesus in today's gospel passage. the lesson of breaking down barriers. I've been paying attention, correct me if I am wrong, but from paying attention, I have not heard that the virus is out for only Democrats or only Republicans. I have not heard that the virus is out for a particular religion. I have not heard that the virus is out for only women or only men. I have not heard that the virus is even looking at your documents to find out whether you are a legal immigrant or an illegal immigrant. All I'm understanding is that the virus is out for human beings. And so what is the message here? That there is only one race, and that is the human race. And so this is calling us to come together as one and fight every evil as one. We are better together. We are stronger together. And so, if your country is very wealthy, if your family is healthy, if as an individual you are strong, carry others along, those who are not as fortunate as you are. Because a time will come that the ill that you have ignored in others may come back to infect you because you did not take care of it while you were stronger. My dearly beloved in Christ, in the first reading, when the Israelites faced the danger of dying from thirst, they began to ask, is the Lord with us or not? Is God with us or not? But in our own present situation, as people of faith, we can confidently say that we believe that even in all that we are passing through, God is still with us. But the big question here is, are we with God?
Blessed